One of the reasons why things really went poorly for Rubio, it's not just that he did poorly. I mean, he got one state, which he might not have gotten anything. That would have been possible. It's that he did really poorly and Cruz did better than expected. He not only won Texas, which seemed like there was a good chance of that, but he won in Oklahoma, and then late in the night, he won Alaska as well. Marco Rubio needed to win more than one state, and he definitely needed Cruz to win fewer than 3. But both of those things happened, and that's a significant blow to him. So why don't we bring up the delegate math here. You're seeing that Rubio has about 1/3 the delegates of Trump, which would be bad enough, but he also has less than half the delegates of Cruz. So when you combine those two, he's got 1/5 of the people that are beating him right now. Oh, look at Carson, he's got 8, that's wonderful. Now, interestingly, in terms of, I do want to flesh out the point that Cenk was making just a second ago. If we go to this next graphic, you're going to see the popular vote share in the primaries and caucuses that have happened so far on the Republican side. And you're going to see that despite what seems like constant crushing wins by Donald Trump, he has 34% of the vote, which is good. And it's first, but it's only 6.1 points higher than Ted Cruz, about the gap that you have between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. And so it's not as runaway as it seems when you just look at the fact that he's won 10 out of the first 15 contests.
And I want to pause there to make a point about brokered conventions. So they never happen. It's like the same pundits who think that all politics is local because Tip O'Neill said it 2,000 years ago, think, oh, what if there's a brokered convention? Dude, there hasn't been one since Jesus came out of Nazareth, right? So, but if there were ever to be one, this would actually be it. This would be the one scenario. Every 4 years they bring it out like it's a realistic scenario, and every 4 years I go, come on, get out of here. That is not realistic. But in a situation like this, you see why, in this very rare situation, it could be realistic. Because Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio have a case to make at a convention where they go, wait a minute, I understand Donald Trump got more delegates than we did, and I understand he won 34% of the vote, if it finished the way that you saw it just there in the popular voting. But combined, we have 28 and 21, that's 49 to his 34.
Significantly
right.
more.
If we're the ticket together, well, we have an excellent case to make that we have more voters than you do.
You're giving the people what they presumably want.
That's right. So we're not robbing you because even though you got more delegates. No, we got more delegates combined.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they were to do that.
Now, there are a lot of people who would not like that argument.
Yeah.
About 34% of the Republican Party.
Exactly. And then you'd still have a bloody mess. But it is a legitimate argument to make. And remember, those are just 34, 28, and 21 of the popular vote. That is not the delegates. So they'd have to catch up in delegates a little bit more.
Yeah.
They'd at least have to have more delegates combined than Trump does on his own.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a very rare situation where they can go in and go, well, let's have our delegates vote together.
Yeah.
And there would be logic in it.
Yeah. Now, I mean, sort of keeping it real, people have pointed out that he would need to get something like 52% of the delegates in all of the remaining contests to pass the halfway point, which is both possible. It's possible. He has big leads in a lot of states coming up, even over Rubio in Florida. But especially when you consider that a good number of them are winner-take-all, a couple of things flipping one way or another can massively shift. It's not like you're going to get 52%. In some cases, you can get 100%. And so it's certainly not impossible. It's going to partially depend on what happens between Cruz and Rubio, how much support continues to flow to them. And honestly, there's a lot of states coming up on the Republican side more than a few days from now that I haven't closely looked at the polls, that polls haven't been conducted for. And so anything to some extent is still possible.
I think there's an excellent chance that the Republicans are going to go all the way to the end. Because this is not a normal situation where if you're a front runner, the Republicans have every incentive to shoo everybody out of the race, right? In this case, they hate the front runner. And when I say they, I mean the donors, because they're the ones who actually control the party. So they give the orders. This is to be your position on taxes and trade and Israel and Iraq and yada, yada. Now, you got a guy who's not taking orders up at the top. They will do anything and everything to topple him because they have a lot of money invested in those orders. And so they have to have one order taker all the way to the end. So here's a possible scenario. Rubio and Cruz combined have more delegates than Donald Trump, and Cruz has more delegates than Rubio. Just a possible scenario. They go into a convention, and the donors who control the party, and how do they control the party, by the way? Because they give money to every other politician in the Republican Party. In fact, the Republican Party would collapse without its donors. It's not like it's a progressive party. It's not like its positions are popular. If you look at the polling on each issue, they lose 8 out of 10 issues easily, right? They're only propped up by the donor money. So that's why the donor money is so powerful on the Republican side. Enormously powerful on the Democratic side too, but not quite as powerful, right? So on the Republican side, they can go into the convention and go, hey, listen, here's the deal, right? We own all of you except Trump. Okay, that's true. And we partly own Cruz, but we don't. But he drives us a little crazy too. So he's more owned by 4 rich guys who've just bought him wholesale, right? His top 4 donors gave him $36 million into a super PAC, et cetera, and they're going to give him even more. So he's also owned, but not by a broader base of the donors as Marco Rubio is. So they can go to a convention and go, look, your delegates are going to get combined because there's no way we're going to let Trump take this thing and maybe do anti-trade deals where we all lose billions of dollars. We're not going to allow that under any circumstances. The whole point of the Republican Party is to make money for us, right? Yeah. That's the whole point of the existence of the Republican Party. If you're not going to do that, then why would we?
What would be the point?
What would be the point of supporting you, right? Would they rather support Hillary Clinton? Hell yes, because Hillary Clinton says, I'm largely going to keep the system exactly as it is. And you know who wins in the current system? The rich and the powerful and multinational corporations. Yeah. They will immediately switch over to Hillary Clinton without blinking. It's not
because the pharmaceutical companies already give more to her than to any Republican.
Because it's not like the large donors in the Republican Party are doing it because they're pro-life. They don't care about that. Yeah. They're doing it as an investment. And if it turns out Hillary Clinton is a better investment than Donald Trump, they will all go to Hillary Clinton. They don't give a damn about the Republican Party or the principles.
Many of them give to both now.
Right.
Even before.
So what they could say is, hey, Ted, we got a deal you can't refuse. I know that you have more delegates than Marco, but Marco's going to be the top of the ticket, okay? Because he's our boy. And we've got every Republican politician in the country backing him. Or we don't have a deal, and Donald Trump's the candidate, and you're out in the, on your own. And next time around, we talk to your 4 donors, and they're not going to back you either. Okay, so and then they put Rubio at the top of the ticket. They put Ted Cruz as the VP, and they have both. Especially Cruz has to eat crow, but he's going to do it because they give him an offer he can't refuse. Whatever that is, we won't know the details of it. And then Donald Trump goes ballistic.
Oh,
right.
That'd be great to watch.
And then we have the wildest general election you have ever seen in your life with some sort of establishment ticket, perhaps the one I outlined, perhaps a different arrangement of those characters, right? Versus whoever the Democratic candidate is, and I don't know who that is. I know the mainstream media says, oh, it's Hillary Clinton, but I'm not at all convinced of that. The Democratic candidate plus Trump and maybe plus Bloomberg.
Oh, God.
And then if all 4 of them are in there, maybe someone else, okay? And then
Biden gets in.
And then no one knows what's going to happen. But by the way, you joke around about that. But if Bernie Sanders is the candidate and there's 3 or 4 people already in and the vote is already massively splintered, there's a lot of people who are thinking, maybe
the more people get in, the less cost there is to getting in terms of splitting.
Right.
Yeah.
And they think, can I squeeze out 23% of the vote and win this thing? Yeah. Maybe. Right?
Maybe.
And
Ron Paul gets in.
If you thought we had an interesting election now, wait till you get a little election if that happens.